In a quiet village, hidden away from the noise and activities of the city, a man named Musa lived with his 3 daughters. Life had not been kind to him. His wife, Janet, had left without a word, leaving him to raise their 2 biological daughters, Princess and Esther, along with his stepdaughter, Farida. Despite the heartbreak of Janet's departure, Musa did his best to create a loving home. He worked tirelessly to provide for the girls, ensuring they never went to bed hungry and that they had a roof over their heads. He loved all 3 daughters equally, but issues began to surface. Princess and Esther, who had always been close, started to exclude Farida. At first it was minor, a forgotten invite to play or a seat kept just for the 2 of them. But as they grew older, the teasing began. Farida had a scar on her face from a childhood accident. It ran from her upper face to her cheekbone, faint but noticeable. To Musa, the scar was part of her story, a detail that didn't define her. But Princess and Esther held on to it. They called her Scarface and ugly, whispering behind her back and sometimes to her face. Musa tried to stop it when he noticed. He would scold Princess and Esther, telling them it was wrong to mock their sister. But they always insisted it was just joking, and Farida, quiet and reserved, never spoke up to defend herself. Over time, Musa began to notice that Farida spent more time alone. One day, while cleaning, Musa found a small stack of drawings in Farida's room. They were sketches of faraway places, mountains, cities, and beaches. When he asked her about them, she hesitated but eventually said, "I just like to imagine a place where I feel free." As the years passed, the divide between the sisters grew wider. Princess and Esther became teenagers, more focused on their own lives and less inclined to include Farida. One evening, after a particularly harsh comment from Princess about her scar, Farida made a decision. She packed a small bag with a few clothes and her drawings. She left a note on the kitchen table. "I need to find my own place in the world. Thank you for everything, Dad. I'll always love you." When Musa found the note the next morning, his heart sank. He searched for her, asking neighbors and even going to nearby towns, but Farida was gone. Life without Farida became harder than Musa expected. Princess, always determined, started to make decisions that worried him. She dropped out of school to start a business, pouring the family's savings into it. When the business failed, she came back home but refused to admit her mistakes. Esther, the younger biological daughter, drifted away in a different way. She found a job in another town, got married, and had children. But she rarely visited. When Musa called, she was polite but distant. Over time, the calls became less frequent. With both daughters gone in their own ways, Musa was left alone. The house felt empty, without the voices of his children. He often sat in Farida's old room, staring at the drawings she had left behind. At first, it was a glass of whiskey in the evening to help him sleep. But soon, the evenings turned into afternoons, and the occasional drink became a regular habit. He began spending his nights at a local club, a dimly lit place where no one asked questions. The regulars there were mostly people like him, lonely and looking for a way to pass the time. One fateful evening, Musa sat bent over a glass of cheap whiskey. The low lights and soft talking in the club gave little peace. As he stared into his drink, he felt a light tap on his shoulder. "Dad," a familiar voice called. Musa froze. Slowly he turned around, unsure if he had imagined it. Standing before him was a woman he barely recognized, a stunning, confident young woman with a warm smile. "Farida," he stammered, his voice cracking. "Yes, Dad, it's me," she said, stepping closer. Musa's eyes welled up with tears as he stared at her, taking in her appearance. She looked different, confident, polished, and glowing with happiness. He struggled to reconcile the image of this woman with the shy, scarred girl he remembered. "No," he said, shaking his head. "Stay away from me. I don't deserve this. I don't deserve you. I let you down." Farida sat down beside him and took his hand. "Dad, you gave me a home when you didn't have to. You worked so hard to provide for all of us. Whatever happened in the past, it doesn't matter anymore. I'm here now, and I want you to be part of my life." Musa broke down, his body shaking with sobs. Farida embraced him tightly, whispering, "I forgive you, Dad. I've always forgiven you. I just want my father back." She explained that she had built a life for herself. She had married a kind man who loved her for who she was, and they had just had a baby boy. She had come to the club that night to celebrate with friends, never expecting to see her father there. "Come live with us, Dad," Farida said. "We have room, and I want my son to know his grandfather." Musa hesitated. The guilt and shame he carried felt too heavy to let go of. But Farida's kindness and persistence gradually weakened the walls he had built around himself. Eventually, he agreed. Moving into Farida's home was a new beginning for Musa. He found joy in helping care for his grandson, something he had missed with his own children. He watched as Farida balanced her career and family life with grace, and he felt a quiet pride knowing she had overcome so much. Princess and Esther eventually reached out, each in their own time. The process of rebuilding those relationships was slow and sometimes painful, but Musa approached it with the patience he had learned in his old age. In the end, Musa realized that life had given him a second chance. The love and forgiveness Farida showed him became a source of strength, helping him mend the broken parts of his heart and family.